Welcome back to Reliving the War Soldier and welcome to 2001. It's New Year's Day, there's no Monday Nitro on TV this week once again, so we're only covering WWF Raw from Austin, Texas. Remember to check out the WCW Thunder videos if you want to know what's happening with the competition. On SmackDown this past week, Stephanie McMahon was on a mission. Her New Year's resolution is to get respect from the WWF roster, and Stone Cold wasn't in the mood to give that respect. Austin instead wanted a WWF title match against Kurt Angle, something Stephanie didn't give him. So Austin poured a beer all over Little Miss McMahon's head, which actually made her smell a whole lot nicer. She then went ahead and booked Rock and Undertaker in a handicap match against William Regal, Rikishi and Kane. The babyfaces got destroyed. So it looks like Stephanie's plan is to beat some respect from the WWF roster. Nothing groundbreaking, but it still works. This week's jam-up guy is Johnny Rico. Johnny met the Big Bad Booty Daddy recently while wearing his Wrestling Bios logo shirt, and reports state that Scotty Steiner was on his best behaviour during this meet and greet. Thanks very much, Johnny, for sending in your picture, and remember folks, chinlocks.com still open, so grab your t-shirts before the end of the series. Tonight, The Rock's going to face Kane while Rikishi faces The Undertaker in our opening match. The winners of these matches will face each other on SmackDown, and then the winner of this mini-tournament will get a WWF title shot against Kurt Angle next week on Raw. Undertaker comes rolling into the arena, I'm sorry. And when Rikishi shows up at the entrance stage, Taker decides he's going to drive his electric moped back up the ramp and run the Big Goose over. I think the motorcycle would smash into little pieces the moment it collides with Rikishi. Luckily, the big man makes an escape. We aren't sure if the match is even going to happen now, but the two men come back through the curtain and they begin fighting on the stage. Rikishi almost falls off the side of the stage, but no such luck. Instead, he fights back, but it's The Undertaker in control as we head down the ramp and into the ring. The Undertaker performs a big boot while The Rock watches the match in his locker room. It looks like The Rock forgot to put on his underwear today. It's an easy mistake to make. Big corner clothesline from the American Badass before we go back to the outside, and it's pretty much all Undertaker here. Rikishi gets his head drilled into the commentary table before getting put back in the ring, but the Big Oosh drops a leg on the Phenom, and this lets Rikishi get in some very brief offense. Nothing to report here, it's mainly punches and what have you. The Big Red Machine watches on in the backstage area. Kane remembered his underwear this week. Taker has the opportunity to chokeslam his opponent, but Rikishi breaks free and the dead man takes a standing sidekick. Rikishi delivers a few kicks in the corner. He plants his opponent with a belly-to-belly suplex. He looks for a corner hip attack, but Undertaker moves out of the way, and this leads to Rikishi getting turned inside out after a clothesline. Taker then signals for the last ride. He tries the move, but there's no way he's getting Rikishi up, so he has to settle for a running DDT instead, and this is enough to win the match. Okay, I mean he could have chokeslammed him, but yeah. Undertaker's our winner, and that means he's going to SmackDown to face either his little brother Kane or The Rock. Stephanie McMahon demanded that Steve Austin come to her office, and she's got a real smug look on her face when Stone Cold barges in. Austin still wants his title shot. Stephanie says Stone Cold has to earn a title shot, and after what happened on SmackDown, Steph's idea of Stone Cold earning a title opportunity isn't about winning matches, but instead it's about taking old Kevin's job right here and selling every single one of these tasty, refreshing beverages and every one of these delicious hot dogs. Austin's like, do you want me to drink them or sell them? Because Austin could really do with drinking a hot dog right now. And Steph confirms Austin has to sell every single item before he'll get considered for a title shot. Stephanie wishes Austin a happy new year. Kevin sets the food down and he wishes Stone Cold good luck. Austin decides to beat the hell out of Kevin the hot dog man while calling him a bastard. And I can't wait to see Stone Cold's customer service skills later on Raw. Edge, Christian and Kurt Angle have just arrived at the arena. Christian says something stinks around here and Kurt says, yeah, I just shit myself. The coach informs Angle about this mini-tournament taking place tonight for a shot at the WWF title. Kurt had no idea this was going down and he seems a little worried about it. But Edge reminds Kurt that he's an Olympic gold medalist and a superhero, words that give Angle a little more confidence. Coach then informs all three men that they're competing in a 6-man tag tonight. And go ahead, guess who their opponents are? Yeah, you got it. The Dudley Boyz are once again getting involved in a 6-man tag match. You couldn't make it up. And they're once again teaming up with Chris Jericho to compete in a tables match. I actually busted out laughing when this got announced. Back in the arena, the APA are teaming up with the one Billy Gunn to take on the right to Censor. Yep, it's another 6-man match. Billy's looking some revenge for his best friend China, though it's Bradshaw knocking the crap out of Bull Buchanan as the match gets underway. Buchanan showed off his agility with a top rope clothesline that put Big JBL down for a moment, and Bull got some pretty good height when performing a leg drop. Bradshaw comes back with his fall-away slam, Farouk tags in for a back suplex and a neckbreaker combo. The Goodfather's going to cause some problems for Farouk though, which brings us to the inevitable Billy Gunn hot tag. But Billy doesn't want to fight the Goodfather, he wants Val Venus. Venus tags in and Billy isn't going to hold back here. He goes right after the big Val Boski and the crowd pop for Gunn's dropkick. Val turns it around briefly after a clothesline, but he misses a top rope elbow drop, and after the match breaks down, Billy plants Val with a one and only, which scores him a pinfall victory. Billy feels this isn't enough. He wants to plant Venus with a piledriver the same way Venus planted China with a piledriver, but Steven Richards gets on the apron and Venus escapes unharmed. A crowd pleasing match for those in attendance, pretty boring for us watching at home. Stone Cold's tucking into some hot dogs and Stephanie thinks Austin's eating into his profits. This gets a sarcastic laugh from Stone Cold because it was so funny. Austin squirts mustard all over Stephanie, not the first time she's been splashed all over her chest. And Stephanie storms off while Austin wonders if she wants any onions. Stone Cold then goes outside. He wants to make sure these beers are safe for human consumption, so he samples quite a few of them. Stephanie, meanwhile, goes back to her office and she gets her dad on speakerphone. Vince tells Steph not to let Stone Cold get the better of her, but this little conversation gets interrupted by Trish Stratus entering the room. Steph wonders what the hell Trish wants, but when Vince hears Trish's voice on the phone, he quickly changes his tone. If I were a betting man, I'd say Vince has doinked Miss Stratus, and yes, I am a betting man. Vince then tells Stephanie that Chris Benoit's defending his IC belt tonight against Tazz. Seems like Vince is doing Trish a favour by booking this match, and when the call ends, Steph says Trish's, and I quote, big-breasted tactics may work on men, but they don't work on Stephanie. Trish's plastic smile and fake laugh makes Stephanie sick. There's only one dominant female in the McMahon family, and that's Stephanie, and Trish doesn't offer a rebuttal before she gets kicked out of the office. Next up, we've got Raven vs Tazz in a hardcore match. Raven says today's important because it's the first day of the Year of the Raven. He calls the people of Texas a bunch of intellectual cripples, so here comes Tazz to interrupt Raven's promo. I think Tazz is a babyface now, I'm not sure. We start with Tazz getting a rope tied around his neck, he gets bopped with a trash can lid, and we go straight into the audience as per the WWF Hardcore Match rulebook. Raven wants to go right to the backstage area, but Tazz catches him out with a Tazz mission, though a low blow ensures the match goes on and the boys make their way to the women's bathroom. A lady used the toilet and she forgot to flush, so Raven gets his head dipped in piss before the two head to the locker room. The Holly cousins are ready to launch an attack here, and this is where the match falls apart, because Sensei Blackman's also looking for revenge and it just turns into a wild brawl between 5 guys. Raven ends up using a fire extinguisher on Crash Holly. He then breaks a 2x4 over Crash's head and he pins Crash to win the match. Absolutely nothing of note here, and I guess Raven just has to get comfortable with being nothing more than a hardcore guy in the WWF. There's nothing wrong with that, but Raven could do a lot more than just swing weapons around. Austin only has one beer left. He drank 300 Steve Weisers, so it's time to go to the ring and cut a promo. Stone Cold says he sold all the beers and all the hot dogs. His New Year resolution is to win the WWF title, so he demands that Stephanie McMahon gets to the ring and he demands that Stephanie gives him what he deserves. Little Miss McMahon makes her entrance with a new top on. She wonders who the hell Austin thinks he's talking to, and Stone Cold says, a complete bitch. It's fantastic. Steph says she didn't see Austin sell a single beer or a single hot dog. Maybe Austin devoured all the goods himself because he's a beer-swilling Texas redneck. And Austin says he appreciates the compliment. Stone Cold then reveals that he did sell all the beers, he didn't drink them himself. There's a few guys in the back who bought the Steve Weisers wholesale, and of course the APA were involved in this little transaction. Every beer and hot dog's been sold to Bradshaw, Jackie and Farouk, so Stephanie can take her little vendor box back, and when Steph tries to backchat Austin, Stone Cold tells her to shut the hell up. Stone Cold's just about sick of hearing Stephanie's whiny voice and Austin wants his title shot. Stephanie says she won't let Austin treat her like he treats Daddy Vince, but Stephanie is a woman of her word and she says yes, she will put Austin in the title picture. The SmackDown #1 contender match will now be a triple threat, but Austin isn't going to get automatically put in that match. Austin's going to face William Regal tonight, and just like Undertaker, Rikishi, Rock and Kane, Stone Cold's going to have to earn a spot in the SmackDown match. Stephanie doesn't think Austin can win. He's going to show up to SmackDown where Stephanie will make Stone Cold scrub a few toilets. Austin thinks Stephanie's been scrubbing toilets with her toothbrush because her breath is absolutely bogging, and Austin says he's not going to play games with Stephanie going forward. Austin will make 2001 the most difficult year of Stephanie's life if he wants to, but right now he's going to give Steph a little help. He removes the box from around Stephanie's neck and Steph's top comes off. She's not having much luck with her clothing today, is she? Austin says there's more foam in that bra than there is in his beers, and Stephanie runs away while Stone Cold celebrates. We'll find out a bit later on if Austin makes it to the SmackDown triple threat match. The 6-man table match is up next. Remember when the Rock 6-man table match was a testicle table match? Yeah, no testicles involved here folks, I'm sorry. Jericho says 3/4 of the locker room have already seen Stephanie undressed, so Austin's little stunt was no surprise really. The Dudleys then come out to join Jericho in the ring, and when the bad guys show up, Kurt wonders how Bubba Ray's feeling after Kurt put him through a table on last week's SmackDown. Edge and Christian laugh at Jericho, seeing as Stephanie slapped him on SmackDown, and really we're just wasting time here folks. After the opening bell, we settle with Edge and Devon. A little distraction from Christian allows Edge to perform a spear, and we then get some quick tags with Angle performing a back suplex and Christian performing a Russian leg sweep. These quick tags continue with Angle, Edge and Christian all coming in to beat up Devon, and it looks like either Y2J or Bubba Ray isn't even going to get tagged in throughout the whole match. We are quickly approaching the end of the bout already, and it's been nothing but Devon getting his ass kicked, which really doesn't make for a good match. A neckbreaker gives Devon the break he's looking for, and in comes Chris Jericho to a great reaction, and within no time at all, Bubba just invites himself into the ring and the match breaks down. We have got ourselves another brawl, ladies and gents. You know, I think I've topped out of this match already. We've seen this all before, and I'm already looking forward to the next match. I just don't care about the outcome here because it'll mean nothing on the grand scheme of things. After performing the "was up" headbutt, Bubba tells Devon to get the tables. Christian saves Angle from disaster when he moves the table away when Bubba tries a back suplex, a routine we already seen a few weeks ago. Jericho saves Bubba when Angle tries a belly to belly, so it comes down to Angle and Y2J. Kurt tries the Olympic Slam, Chris avoids it, and the WWF champion gets put on the walls of Jericho. Edge is able to break the move up, but this comes at a hefty cost because it's Edge who takes a 3D through the wood, so the babyfaces win on Raw, and gotta say, this was some pretty lazy booking right here from the WWF. If I see the Dudleys in another 6-man tag, I'm gonna throw my PC out the window. The match wasn't terrible, but the fact that we've seen it all before makes it tough to sit through. William Regal seen coming out of Stephanie's office. The way he's acting, it looks like Stephanie hasn't found a new top yet. Trish Stratus enters Test's locker room and Big Andy tells Trish to hit the bricks. All she cares about recently is Big Daddy Vince, but Trish says this isn't true. She didn't go to the soup kitchen last week, she stayed at home during the holidays. Tess should really be thankful that Trish has gotten him an IC title opportunity, but Tess wants a match against Albert. TNA officially broke up on SmackDown and Test wants to face his old partner, but Trish tells Andy to get his head in the game because Test was always the star of TNA and Trish still wants to serve as Test's valet. Trish and Test come down to the ring, the IC title match is up next, and Test doesn't waste any time at all when he plants Benoit with a full Nelson slam. Benoit takes a back elbow, Test follows up with his gut wrench powerbomb, which only gets a 2. He goes for a pump handle slam, but this time Benoit counters and we see the crippler crossface. Tess makes it to the ropes, but the damage is seemingly being done. Chris is able to go on offense and Andy takes a back suplex before getting sent into the ring post. Benoit performs a backbreaker, Test answers with a big boot before heading up for his elbow drop. Here comes Albert to ruin Test's chances of becoming Intercontinental Champion, but Big Andy fights back and the match continues after Albert gets wiped out. Test is looking real good here after a tilt-a-whirl slam and a pump handle slam to the IC champion. But when he goes upstairs again, Trish pushes him down and Benoit is able to score a pinfall win. Has Trish sided with Albert? Well, Tazz seems to think so as he fights with his former partner again while Trish makes her escape. Officials run down to break the fight up, but Benoit was feeling a bit left out, so he puts Albert in the crossface while Tazz gets held back. Tazz gets back in the ring, he throws Benoit out, and once again TNA fight each other until officials get in the ring. So it's all a bit messy, and we aren't sure if Albert's working with Trish or if she's acting on her own accord. William Regal meets up with Lieutenant Commissioner Deborah and he wants her to cover up her massive bops because they're very distracting. Deborah tells Regal to deal with it. Regal wants Deborah to send a message to her husband, Steve Austin. Stephanie McMahon's appointed a surprise special referee for the Austin vs Regal match tonight, and Steve would probably be grateful for the heads up. Deborah wonders who the referee is, and Regal says it wouldn't be a surprise if he spilled the beans. Back in the arena, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn and Terry Runnels come out to join the commentary table. These guys are going to watch our next match featuring the Hardy Boys taking on Kai En Tai. Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Kai En Tai on Raw, and they're now doing the whole Indeed routine.
Indeed.
Don't let this distract you from the fact that WCW did it first with Kaz Hayashi. You expect good things from these two tag teams being put together for a match, and they didn't disappoint. Highlights included a double wheelbarrow suplex from the Hardys to Taka, Jeff running the barrier before hitting Funaki with a clothesline, and a Sai moonsault from Taka Michinoku. And while all this is going on, Dean Malenko's talking about how much of a love boat he is and why Lita should choose a man with experience instead of a boy like Matt Hardy. Yeah, they're starting to mention here that Matt Hardy could be interested in Lita. Jeff takes a dropkick while locked in a camel clutch. This gets followed with a Funaki facebuster before Michinoku tags in. Taka goes upstairs, but Jeff gets the knees up when Taka jumps off. Jeff performs a jawbreaker before tagging in brother Matt, and Matt performs his second rope leg drop, but when he tries a twist of fate, Taka comes in with a super kick. Jeff wants to make Taka pay for interrupting the move, so he decides to jump on the top rope instead of performing poetry in motion in hopes of diving to the outside to hit Michinoku. This move ends up getting botched, and Jeff's lucky this didn't turn out way worse. Fair play to Taka for still selling it though. Back in the ring, Matt hits a twist of fate on Funaki, and Jeff tries to save a little dignity with a Swanton bomb. This allows the Hardys to score a pinfall win, and I'm very surprised the Radicals didn't try to interfere. As a matter of fact, it's Lita who ends up baiting Dean Malenko for a Hardy Boys attack, an attack that sees Jeff almost botching another high-risk move. So yeah, I think old Jeffrey had too much eggnog over Christmas. Sort that out, lad. The Hardys vs Radicals feud continues on. It's good seeing Kai En Tai on Raw again though. Know your role, jabroni. It's The Rock vs Kane for a spot in the #1 contender match on SmackDown, and The Rock's wasting no time at all as the crowd goes nuts. Kane takes a jumping clothesline and he really needs to slow Rock down right from the get-go, so a sidewalk slam puts Rock in his place, and maybe the Great One will think twice about running to the ring and acting all hard next time around. It takes more than this to stop The Rock though. He comes back by planting Kane's face into the canvas, and just before the action goes outside, we see the Undertaker watching the match unfold. Taker's already part of the SmackDown triple threat match, of course. We go into the crowd where Rock takes a body slam. This seems to do significant damage to the People's Champ as he begins holding his midsection while trying to make it back to the ring. Kane forcefully brings Rock back over the barrier, and when we get inside the ropes, it's Kane performing his flying clothesline. But this again isn't enough to keep Rock down. Kane delivers a few shots in the corner, Rock answers with a few right hands of his own, but here's Kane delivering a power slam to the People's Champ. It looks like Rock wants to go for a Samoan drop, but Kane went to space for a little moment, and so the big red machine gets smacked in the face, and then Rock's able to pull off the move. Even the best can have their off days. DDT and a belly-to-belly suplex from The Rock. Kane answers with a big boot before Kurt Angle shows up to get a closer look at the action. Kane sees this as an opportunity to send Rock to the outside and let Angle do his dirty work, but the plan backfires when Rock delivers a rock bottom to the WWF Champion. Back in the ring, Kane takes a spine buster, which usually gets followed up with a People's Elbow. Instead, Kane gets to his feet and he's about to chokeslam Rocky straight to hell. Rock breaks free and he sends Kane to the outside. And Rocky really should have thought long and hard before heading outside himself, seeing his Angle's had loads of time to recover. Rock makes easy work of his opponent here, but when he tries to get back in the ring, Angle hits him with the WWF belt. This allows Kane to deliver a chokeslam back inside the ropes, and Kane gets himself a pinfall victory over the Great One. Kane and The Undertaker have qualified for the SmackDown Triple Threat match. Rock and Rikishi are out. Angle may be happy to leave the arena in a hurry alongside Edge and Christian, but he's still got two potential tough #1 contenders aiming for his championship gold in The Undertaker and Kane. So let's see if it's Stone Cold Steve Austin or William Regal who gets added to the SmackDown Triple Threat match. These two face each other in our Raw main event. Regal says the only way Austin can win the WWF title is by going through his lordship. He called Stone Cold a toe rag, he doused himself in beer and acted like a slob tonight, and that, ladies and gents, isn't what being a champion's all about. Austin's out of control, he needs to be stopped. Regal knows Austin won't play by the rules tonight, and he knows Austin will try to besmirch him. So we've got a special referee to oversee the action, and it's Stephanie McMahon Helmsley. Her third change of clothes tonight for those keeping count. McMahons just love being special referees, don't they? Here comes Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I'm actually interested in seeing how awkward Steph is at being a referee. Austin performs the Luthez press pretty early on, and when Stone Cold rams Regal's head off the top turnbuckle over and over again, Steph doesn't step in. She just stands there with her arms out by her sides. Austin performs a chokehold. Steph remembers to begin a 5 count, so fair enough, I guess. Regal then gets sent to the outside, and again, all Steph can really do is scream at Austin when he does things he's not supposed to do. Regal gets wrecked at the commentary table and Stephanie begins a 10 count. The count gets broken when Austin puts Regal in the ring, only for Regal to get pulled right back out again. The European champion takes another beating on the outside, and Stephanie really wants the guys to get back in the ring. So Austin puts Regal in once again, only to throw him out again over the top rope. Austin flips Stephanie off, he goes outside to beat Regal up a little more. It's kind of annoying that Regal hasn't gotten in any offense at all here, and this continues when Austin performs 3 consecutive suplexes back in the ring. Stone Cold covers Regal, Stephanie counts to 2 before something gets in her eye, and so Austin decides to kick Stephanie in the ass and she falls out of the ring. This gets a great pop from the audience. Regal's now able to lay in a few strikes, but this doesn't last long. Austin turns it around with right hands in the corner, and it appears Earl Hebner's going to take over as our match official. Regal delivers a low blow to Austin before sending Earl to the outside. Clearly, William wants Stephanie calling this match, so he brings her back into the ring, and our match ends with Austin performing a spine buster. Stephanie's still selling her injured eye, and she doesn't make the count, so Stone Cold grabs her and he's about to knock her bollocks in. This is when Regal delivers a schoolboy pin while grabbing Stone Cold's tights, and Steph performs a fast count, which means Austin's lost his opportunity to compete for the #1 contendership. William Regal's defeated Austin on New Year's Day Raw. Stephanie dashes up the ramp. She takes great delight in announcing that Regal's the winner of the match and Regal's facing Kane and The Undertaker in the SmackDown Triple Threat. And Austin gets a little payback by giving Regal a stunner. It's nowhere near as good as getting a potential shot at the WWF Championship, but it's the best Austin can do right now. This episode of Raw kinda sucked, didn't it? The 6-man table match brought it way down for me, and I was kinda shocked how boring the semi-main and main events were. Rock and Kane felt like the same old routine. Austin vs Regal would have been much better if Regal was allowed to be competitive. Though I will say there were a few good moments here and there. Austin being forced to sell beer was a nice little idea, and Kai En Tai coming back to Raw was an unexpected highlight. The Trish, Albert and Tazz story could be interesting, but all in all, this was a very forgettable episode of Raw. You don't need to see this one. I'll update you on what happened on SmackDown next week when Raw goes head to head with Nitro once again. Thank you very much for watching, and please take care.